Knowledge isn't always dry, and research isn't always boring. We're here to show you how even the most profound truths and advanced knowledge of human civilization can be both humorous and silly. Welcome to the Brain Boost. Imagine you're a supervillain aiming for the ultimate destruction of humanity, planning something truly spectacular and epic. Your scheme must be colossal, not just ending life on Earth, but making the entire universe tremble in fear. Your brilliant idea? Use water to put out the sun. But is that even possible? Well, sort of, but certainly not in the simple way you might extinguish a burning building. To understand this, we first need to know a little about the sun itself. This might be a bit tricky, so pay close attention. The sun is big and it's hot. Got it? Big and hot? Okay, the sun is located about 150 million kilometers away from us, and you could fit approximately 1.3 million Earths inside it. Its gravity is so immense that it holds 8 planets in orbit around it. If you could stand on the sun's surface, you'd weigh as much as a pygmy hippopotamus, assuming you had a heat-resistant suit made of some super material from distant stars, of course, because the surface temperature is around 500 degrees Celsius, and the core, the hottest part, reaches up to 15 million degrees Celsius. However, and this is crucial, the sun is not a ball of fire. Fire requires oxygen, and there's no oxygen in space. So, what makes it glow and radiate so much heat? The sun's light and heat come not from fire, but from extremely hot gas, or plasma. About 90% of the sun is hydrogen gas. As mentioned earlier, the sun's gravity is immense, and greater gravity leads to greater pressure. This intense pressure and heat cause hydrogen atoms to fuse together, creating helium. This process, known as nuclear fusion, releases a tremendous amount of energy, which is what we perceive as heat and light. In fact, scientists on Earth have attempted to replicate this process. If successful, nuclear fusion could provide humanity with low-carbon energy, significantly helping to achieve net-zero greenhouse gas emissions. On February 11, 2022, at the Culham Centre, a thermal experiment facility in the UK, a nuclear fusion reactor released 59 megajoules of heat in 5 seconds, an amount equivalent to 14 kilograms of TNT. This shows that the dream of clean energy through fusion isn't as distant as it once seemed. Now, let's return to your main problem. You, the genius supervillain, attempting to spray water on the sun. What exactly would happen? First, you would be adding mass to the sun. Increased mass means increased gravitational pull, as mass and gravity are directly proportional according to the formula P, Frammer's mg, where P is weight, m is mass, and g is acceleration. Basic physics, right? So, more mass equals stronger gravity. And as we discussed, strong gravity results in high pressure, which in turn makes the nuclear fusion reaction, where hydrogen turns into helium, even more powerful. Furthermore, water contains 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. This means you're not extinguishing the sun, you're adding more fuel to it. Therefore, spraying water wouldn't put the sun out. It would make the star even bigger, brighter, and hotter. Precisely the opposite outcome of your brilliant plan. While larger, hotter. Stars do have shorter lifespans. Short in this astronomical context still means millions of years, at the very least. Plus, all the water on Earth likely wouldn't even make a significant difference to the sun's size anyway, considering 1.3 million Earths can fit inside it. So, if that particular genius evil plan isn't going to work, maybe try something else simpler instead, like eating dessert before your main meal. That's also technically wrong, but hey, at least the consequences aren't quite so universal. And shifting from immense cosmic objects to large structures closer to home, have you ever wondered how a towering construction crane gets assembled? You see, these massive cranes appear suddenly at construction sites, but how is something so tall actually built? First, the foundation is built by tying rebar, placing the base section, and pouring concrete. This is absolutely crucial because an improperly built foundation could cause a 100-meter-tall crane to collapse into a residential area. Next, a mobile crane lifts the first tower sections into place and securely fastens them. Then comes the key component, the climbing frame. This cage-like structure is slightly larger than the crane's tower section and is the critical element that allows the crane to increase its height. Finally, the top section is installed, which includes the cabin, the tower head, the jib, and the counterweights. The crane then essentially builds itself using that climbing frame. It lifts its own top section to create a gap, into which a new tower section is inserted. This process is repeated every time the crane needs to be taller, reaching an average maximum height of about 70 meters, equivalent to a 20-story building. In situations where the building under construction will be even taller, the crane is erected on top of the structure itself. Its tower is attached to the building using steel ties, providing stability as a hydraulic system raises the crane. For every few floors added to the building, workers add new ties, allowing the crane to ascend higher alongside the growing structure. So, how do the operators reach the cabin when it's so high up? It varies. Sometimes, an elevator is installed in the building under construction, but regardless, the worker will definitely need to climb stairs to reach the cabin, where they work all day. Given they are up there all day, how do they handle bathroom needs? Crane operators typically bring empty water bottles to relieve themselves. However, performing this task at extreme heights requires caution due to strong winds. Even a slight mistake can cause the liquid to spray out and potentially fall on someone below. For example, an incident in China in 2019 involved a crane operator who needed to use the bathroom but accidentally dropped the contents, which unfortunately landed directly into the mouth of a female worker on the ground. This serves as a stark reminder. When walking past a construction crane, avoid looking up, as you might encounter some unexpected raindrops, even on a clear day. Moving from massive structures to tiny organisms, let's talk about creatures that are truly small. Ants. Did you know you can trick an entire ant colony into believing a living, healthy ant is dead? This is exactly what biologist E.O. Wilson discovered in the 1950s. He observed that ants didn't immediately react to the body of a deceased colony member, even when it lay motionless in the center of the nest. Other ants simply walked past it. However, after about 2 days, the body would suddenly be carried away by other ants and deposited in the colony's ant graveyard, a designated area used for disposing of trash and deceased members. The puzzle was, why the delay in disposal? Wilson hypothesized that decomposition released a chemical signal telling other ants, "Hey, I'm dead, get me out of here." However, he and other scientists didn't know precisely which chemical this was. So, they began testing dozens of different substances, including chemicals designed to mimic the smells of rotten fish or solid waste. Wilson's lab became filled with odors unbearable to humans, and apparently to ants as well. When exposed to these smells, the ants fled rather than approaching to carry bodies to the graveyard. Success came only when Edward tried a substance called oleic acid, a type of fatty acid found in vegetable oil. This was the key. It was the substance released by dead ants that triggered other ants to enter find dead body and throw it away mode. This gave Edward an idea. What would happen if he applied oleic acid to a living ant? he did just that. Immediately, other ants picked up the perfectly healthy ant, treated it as if it were deceased, and carried it to the graveyard. The ant didn't even struggle. It stayed quietly in the graveyard for about 2 hours, cleaned off the smell, and then simply returned to its nest, as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. Imagine being treated as dead by your entire community just because a giant being did something to you that would surely be a lifelong trauma. Another fascinating, though perhaps messed up, experiment involved Sahara Desert ants. These ants are known to navigate back to their nest using the sun as a compass. But scientists were unsure how they calculated the precise distance back home. They hypothesized that the ants counted their steps and simply retraced the same number of steps on their return journey. To test this, scientists modified the ants' legs. They glued stiff hairs onto them, essentially putting the ants on stilts, which made each of their steps significantly longer than normal. The picture shows their legs appearing roughly twice their usual length. This manipulation caused the ant to walk right past its nest. It stopped after taking the number of steps that would have normally led it home, but with its new, longer stride, and became visibly confused. So, humans have certainly interfered with ants for the sake of research. Fortunately, humans themselves will never be experimented on by scientists, right? And now, here are a few quick facts for you to enjoy, like snacks at the end of our session. The band Ghost is a black metal group from Sweden known for songs with satanic themes and blasphemous lyrics about God. To write these songs, they reportedly researched Christian texts so thoroughly that eventually all the band members converted to Christianity, and their current songs carry themes of praising God, while still maintaining the black metal genre. In the Star Wars movie saga, the original sound effect for the Wookiees was created using the sound of a badger owned by Ben Burt, the film series sound designer. Ben Burt's other pet, a dog named Poster, also played a significant role in the Star Wars universe. His sound was used to create the noise of the Millennium Falcon in the Mos Eisley spaceport. The Parkes Radio Telescope Observatory in Australia puzzlingly detected strange signals for 17 years. A few times each year, the observatory would pick up some signal originating within a 5-kilometer radius. The source remained a mystery until 2015, when the observatory installed a system to convert audio signals into digital data. They then discovered the signal was actually at 2.4 GHz, the characteristic frequency of a standard home microwave oven. Scientists experimented and confirmed that the signal appeared every time the observatory's microwave oven was opened mid-cycle, such as when someone checked if their food was warm. Thus, a mystery that had persisted for 17 years was finally solved by a simple microwave. Su Dongpo, a famous scholar during the Song dynasty in China, shared a friendship with the renowned monk Zen master Fo Yin. One day, Su Dongpo composed a poem, Head touching the sky, light shines on the great thousand realm. 8 winds cannot blow me, sitting upright like a golden lotus. He intended this poem to signify that he had achieved enlightenment about the universe and was so tranquil that nothing, not even the 8 winds, representing worldly disturbances, could move him. Su Dongpo sent the poem to Zen master Fo Yin. Reading it, Fo Yin offered no verbal comment, but simply wrote 2 words on the poem, fart, and sent it back. Su Dongpo was, of course, furious, and immediately crossed the river to demand an explanation from the Zen master. The Zen master calmly responded, "Your poem claims that even the 8 winds cannot blow you. Yet, the mere mention of a fart made you angrily jump across the river?" Needless to say, Su Dongpo was extremely embarrassed. But through this exchange, he realized he had not yet achieved the state of tranquility he had described in his own poem. And that concludes today's brain-boosting session. Remember to tune in for the next installment to discover many more interesting facts. For now, goodbye, and see you again.